pretty cool. So now I drive around, y'all. I never know what's going to hit me in a song. And several weeks ago, I've been at home over the last couple of weeks, and I like to listen to Morning Edition on NPR, and then lots of times, I don't know if they do that here in Dallas, but in Nashville, they'll come on and then they'll do kind of a little Nashville part, where they'll do stories specific to Nashville. And so they came on and they started talking about the Nashville Vols, which was the Nashville farm team way back when my grandfather was a little boy. It was like the minor league team, was it called the Nashville Vols. Now they're called the Nashville Sounds, but it was the Nashville Vols. And they started talking about, now I haven't written the song, I'm just telling y'all that this is going to show up, so I don't know how it's going to show up. I still got to talk to my daddy about it, but, and you're going, is she leaving this? Well, I found out here I listened to the radio, and I found out that in 1934, Babe Ruth came to Nashville and played. And what would happen is, back in the 20s and 30s, the major league teams, the Yankees, would go to their training camps, and then after training camp, they would kind of, on their way back up north to start the major league season, they would take these train trips, and they'd go throughout, and they'd play they'd stop in the cities in the south or wherever they were, and they would play the local teams. And so they came to Nashville. Babe Ruth came in 1934. Now, the reason this was interesting to me is because my grandfather is a Yankees fan, and I have always been a Yankees fan because of my grandfather. And so people up north love this. They're going, how in the world did you become a Yankees fan? And I said, well, because my grandfather was a Yankees fan, and my daddy was a Yankees fan. So now I'm trying to find out if my grandfather, in fact, went to that ball game in 1934 and saw Babe Ruth play. And perhaps that's one of the reasons I think maybe he might have already been a Yankees fan by then. But I know he loves Babe Ruth, so that's how it all turns out. You never know. And this song, y'all, is really reached a lot of people that I never would have thought it would. At least to make them think about change and I think sometimes art, and I know I'm talking about this because I'm here at the Trinity Arts Conference, but it's amazing how through painting or dance or ballet or music or poetry, sometimes we can say things and at least we can think about things that perhaps we weren't willing to think about before. We can hear. We might not be able to hear it from a preacher, might not be able to hear it really from a newscaster or an essayist, but we can maybe hear it through art. So this is the effect. It's kind of been amazing to me, the effect of this song. So. I heard Odessa's mind was sick, that she was crazier than hell. The police caught her turning tricks down at the Blue and Gray Motel. Odessa was the neighbor's maid. She had 10 mouths at home to feed. They bust her kids to Birmingham and put her in the county jail. Nobody seemed to give a damn. They say a white man posted bail. My dad said not to breathe a word. I told my brother all I heard. And the train of change was coming fast to my hometown. We had the choice to climb on board or get run down. It was crazy. There were grown men fights over segregation and civil rights. Martin Luther King, the KKK, George C. Wallace, and LBJ. When the National Guard came in, I thought the world was gonna end. It was crazy in Alabama. Down ice cream for a dime. White people ordered from the front, the side was full, the colored line, and we all were told they had their place because they were a different race. We spent hot summer afternoons at the public swimming pool, where the privileged and the few played on their island of cool blue, and brown children watched outside the fence. It never made one lick of sense. But the train to change was coming fast in my hometown. We had the choice to climb on board or get run down. It was crazy, there were grown men fights over segregation and civil rights. Martin Luther King, the KKK, George C. Wallace, and LBJ. When the National Guard came in, I thought the world was gonna end. It was crazy in Alabama. My mama yelled, "The child get inside," drew the drapes, locked the doors. We watched the marchers passing by, felt the rumble, heard the roar, and they all held hands. They sang and wept, and freedom rang in every step. 'Cause the train to change was marching through my hometown. We had the choice to climb on board or get run down. It was crazy, there were grown men fights over segregation and civil rights. Martin Luther King, the KKK, George C. Wallace, and LBJ. When the National Guard came in, I thought the world was gonna end. It was crazy in Alabama. When I heard Odessa's mind was sick, that she was crazier than hell. You know, LBJ, you know, they're doing all the Reagan funeral things all last week. And it was hard to believe, but they hadn't had I don't know if y'all heard this, or if you're watching any of it, but the last kind of funeral they did of that was LBJ's funeral in 1974, and I remember seeing that on TV, you know. It's kind of weird, that was 30 years ago.